Over the course of the movie, I dropped a bit of weight. I started off, I remember when I was scouting, I was quite a bit heavier than now. My assistant, Karen, helped me out. She brought me a lot of meals. I didn't spend a lot of time at craft service or going to catering. And over the course of the film, I lost weight. I lost probably about 75 pounds, maybe more, up, give or take, depending on where I'm at now. And I wanted to lose weight because I was playing Happy Hogan in the film. And so I wanted to hit a certain weight, lose a certain amount of pounds, and I just kept going. And there were problems too, because my wardrobe would change in size over the course of the film. And even my wig size changed. It's amazing. Everything sort of changes. Your shoe size changes. I have real hair, but I wanted to have cool hair. So straight hair, I never had like a real shock of straight hair like in the comic books.
I had a wonderful time working with Peter Billingsley, who is a close friend of Favrau's, and I got him to shave his head bald, not as bald as mine. I didn't want him to upstage me. It's like, yeah.
It really is. Is yours like velvety too? Oh yeah, that's nice. We both have good heads of hair.
Peter wanted to shave his head to look a little different, age him up a little bit. When you threw a lab coat on the guy, he looked like he was 14 years old, and so shaving his head, throwing glasses on him, and growing a mustache gave him a little bit more of a distinguished look.
There's an ID, probably a couple pens to watch. In approaching this cameo, I really wanted to send a message to the other actors who I felt were really phoning in their performances, that, you know, guys, let me show you a level of commitment to acting.
The camaraderie that John nurtures on a set is to ad-lib. You don't see that all the time on movies this size, where somebody's on wires, or you're up against a green screen, or you can't move too much because there's going to be a computer effect, and it can get very rigid. It was very important to John that the film not feel rigid, that the film feel and have a flow to it and have a sense of fun to it. Always believable, but never too overwhelmingly pretentious or self-serious.
We're ironmongers. We make weapons.
My name on the side of the building.
And what we do keeps the world from falling into chaos. The spirit in which it was shot and the way we did it was like you might do a small independent art film in a funny sort of way. I think you're just not towards the end of the movie. I think we're just starting to kind of get up to speed and start to kind of relax and have faith in this process that the way we do it. Each time we would do one of these scenes, there would be a great sense of relief, like, man, wow, we got through that one, we pulled it out, you know, how did we do it?
This technology, it comes along once in a generation. And it's a gift.
I think of him saying either that or I can take it, and you said I said no, and I put it in front of you.
Be that. If I have one, will you move it back? If I have one drink, could we move on? Yes.
And he takes it.
Takes a drink.
Now, do we cheers before that? That'd be good.
If we have one drink, okay, here.
Settle please and roll sound.
And boom up. Boom up. Boom up.
Okay. Ready and action.
Honey, I hate it when we fight.
Good morning, Mr.
Told you, I'm not mad. I'm just
I said I
indifferent.
was sorry. Thanks.
I don't want to hear you.
What more
You
do you
don't
need than an
respect
apology?
yourself. I definitely know you don't respect me. John recognizes that the script is a skeleton. The comic book is a skeleton. You know, what we are creating is real life, so he allows it to grow and to improv and to become something alive and three-dimensional.
I want to be fresh. Okay? I know what I'm doing. I live for this. This is business travel. I don't got a throttle between my legs going, you know hopping from
Just do what you want to do. Just leave me alone.
Join me. One drink. To business.
I said no.
To the future. To the Air Force.
Will it get you to shut up?
The look of the film is something that you know, is as much a part of the franchise as the character himself. And as a director, it's one of the elements that you have a lot of control over.
Maybe she does one move and then Sarah can come in and do it.
I'm not a cinematographer. I wouldn't know how to light a scene as a cinematographer or a gaffer. I have a lot of respect for what they do. But I do understand a look that I like. And in hiring Matty LIBATIQUE, who I've been wanting to work with for a while, and I've been a fan of his since his much smaller films, he brings a certain style to it, a certain grittiness, and he's also able to give it a big movie look. And he understands how much a priority reality is, and how the challenge for this movie was to ground it in reality, because it's such a fantastic story, such a fantastic character, that your job as a director is to make it personal.
Welcome home, Mr. Starr.
Thanks, Jarvis.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
You know, there are two ways to go. One is just to create a spectacle that people could, you know, munch popcorn and ogle at and enjoy, and that certainly is a lucrative proposition. But as a filmmaker who's going to be working on this thing for 2 years, and possibly other films to come, it's important for me to have an aspect to it that I could really buy into beyond just being a trifle, you know, being just a treat for the audience. You also want to do something where you're telling a story and maybe speaking to something and going for something a little bit more. And the way Maddie lights and the way that Mike Riva designs the sets, it brings reality to it.
Sir, you have 1,713 new voice messages, including 3 from the Mandarin.
About the time that we cast Robert Downey Jr., I was thinking about the house and trying to figure out what kind of design it should be. And even though we had decided on this kind of angular, flat, metallic, hard-edged look, the idea that Robert Downey Jr. has he comes with a certain vulnerability with him, and it may sound strange, but we redesigned the notion of the house after casting him. I thought that he would be more suitable in something that architecturally mirrored who he was, a little softer inside, a little bit more susceptible, a little more vulnerable. There was a certain vulnerability about him, so I thought round is nice, it's more elegant, and it just seemed a little bit more womb-like.
When this project first came along, they gave me a bunch of the comic books and history of the characters and so forth, and I said, ooh, Obadiah Stane's got this wild suit, Monger suit, and all these different things. And I got kind of excited about that again, the kid in me.
We'll counter your move, so wherever you move, we'll kind of go with you and take the weight of the suit itself.
You have rotation by yourself, Jeff.
Yeah, I've got it now by myself, right?
No, you can spin your way. There you go.
That's always just you.
Then when I met with John the first time, he said, oh no, you don't get to wear a suit. And I kind of went, oh. And because it was the Mandarin was originally the band, there was going to be like 2 different bad guys. And I said, oh, yeah. Okay, well, you know, let's see, you know, how it works out. And then the scripts were being worked on, and it came back. He says, "Oh, it looks like you wanted to wear a suit. Now you've got your suit." I said, "Oh, great."
And now, I'm gonna kill you with it. You pull out my targeting system. Hold still.
Fire. Get set. Fire.
The gun.
Clear.
I think it was the most strange for Gwyneth, who, although she had worked on a green screen show, Sky Captain, she never really worked on an effects show. And she said that that was very different than this. Because in this film, you know, she's looking at like a 10-foot-tall robot that's being operated by puppeteers in front of her, and she's having explosions go off behind her, and windows being blown out, lights going crazy, and things melting down. And she was right in the heart of it, running through sets at full tilt, and with things blowing up behind her, and she'd never experienced anything like that before.
I told her it was remains of the day 2 when we signed her.
When I did Sky Captain, that was very surreal because there was literally nothing. There was nothing practical. There were no props and no sets. And that was just sort of like doing experimental theater or something, you know, off Broadway, because you were just in a room with some actors. And this, I was so used to working with actors and real sets that when they said, okay, now like a big monster's coming out of the ground, then I felt like, oh my God, this is so silly. And John said, oh, don't worry, you know, so I just thought, right, well, you just have to really go for it.
And cut. Very good. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Bye-bye.
The first half hour of being in the Iron Man suit is like the coolest Halloween you ever had, except you're alone in the trailer before they call you on a set or whatever, or you're getting ready and you just catch a glimpse and you go, that's right, Grandma'd be proud. And then, because it's not really, it's designed for guys to wear, but I'm not a stuntman. And most of the stuntmen aren't doing, you know, 65 scenes in the next 3 weeks. Most of them are young enough to not have a teenager at home.
Fire! Button! Pepper!
It was tough, and as we went further and further along, I realized like I could wear the suit all the time, but I can't wear the suit all the time and be an effective actor. I'm sorry, did that interrupt your flow?
I guess this is a draw.
The last couple weeks of shooting, I was like, you know what? I made it this far, I need to sleep, I want to eat pasta, I don't care if I'm puffy tomorrow, don't put me in a t-shirt, kiss my ass. I did all that stuff because then the job is you drop the saddlebags and you charge out of Dodge City, you know, because you want to get out without getting your ass bit by a rattlesnake.
Now it's time for both of us to go. That's the law of nature, Tony! Oh!
Ladies and gentlemen, on to Las Vegas. That is a wrap. Thank you, everybody.
Here we are out in front of Caesar's Palace, the third movie I've done here. And we're exhausted. We're doing a death split, which means you start at midnight and go into the next day. We tried to turn around. Everybody stayed up as late as they could, gambling and partying last night, and tried to sleep all day. I, for one, was not able to sleep all day, and I have to act and direct today. So this could all go to hell in a handbasket on our last day of principal photography. But here we are. This is the big finish line. We always knew that if we got here, we'd be in good shape. So it's a bit of a celebration. It's going to be a fun scene. We're going to start outside, then go inside, and here he is, Tony Starks.
Tony Stark.
I was just saying, we don't need sleep. We got talent. That's right.
Work it, work it, work it!
Winner!
I'm just so proud of everybody and satisfied and the whole deal. I mean, in my psyche right now, it's that thing of like someone was saying the last day of high school and, you know, you kind of just can't wait to throw your hat up, but then you're like, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? And I just remember last, you know, October, November, and meeting John regarding this, and then screen testing, and then pre-production. To me, like most of us were burnt by the time pre-production was done because we prepped ourselves into a tizzy. And then there's starting in the first 2 weeks in the cave, and then going to Lone Pine, and then it was Air Force Base. I mean, it's the problematic thing of looking at a schedule, or looking at what anyone looking at what their life is for the next 3 months. It's like, this can't be done.
Thank you, everybody. That is a wrap.
You know, every movie has its trials and tribulations. We did encounter a snowstorm in the middle of a desert in the cave scene, which was very odd. We did have sets that blew away and blew down, but it actually, the movie gods were with us most of the time. And while it was always daunting, it went fairly smoothly, which was great for our first production, very important for our first production.
Ladies and gentlemen, John Favreau, director of Iron Man!
That's a testament to John, to the crew that we put together, and for the cast, who were always game, who could always maneuver through whatever circumstances were thrown at them. And, you know, we did. We came in on time and under budget.
Hi there, here's today's Daily Fact. As of 2019, the number of films in the MCU seem countless, with so many Avengers films along with standalone movies with characters that range from Ant-Man to Doctor Strange. But the very first film in the universe was back in 2008, with AC/DC blaring in the background and Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark wearing the famous Iron Man suit. Remember to click below to subscribe.